All right, so this next story was sent to me by Tammy McMullen. She sent this story to me about a pastor out of Alexandria, Virginia. His name is Terry Millender, 52, senior pastor of Victorious Life Church out of Virginia. He's facing fraud charges and facing 20 years in jail. He's accused of taking $1.3 million from members from his congregation and other donations for the benefit of helping starving children. Take a look.
Developing tonight, an Alexandria pastor is behind bars accused of defrauding his congregation out of more than $1 million. Pastor Terry Millender was arrested along with his wife and a friend of theirs. Fox 5's Lindsay Watts is talking to a former church member tonight who says this was a pastor who was supposed to be praying with his members, but instead was preying on them. Lindsay.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. The man that I talked to says that he has known Pastor Terry Millender since he was just a kid, and that his family invested thousands of dollars with their preacher, although they are not a part of this federal case. Millender was here in court to hear the charges that could now be taking him from the pulpit to prison.
Now, I did a story before about Creflo Dollar and pastors who are bringing in millions of dollars. Here's a guy who drives a $100,000 car, huge house. That's a problem with me. We have in the black community, we got pastors who are bringing in millions. And my thing is this, whether it's a celebrity or pastor, whoever's not investing back in that community, I'm done with.
So your house, your car, your land, your vacation, that doesn't define you.
He's a preacher who condemned greed and materialism on Sunday morning.
Because there's a whole lot of people with all kind of houses and land and whatever else, and they are miserable on the inside.
But federal prosecutors say Terry Millender was preying on the very people he was preaching to at Victorious Life Church. According to court documents, he convinced parishioners to invest in his company to help poor people in developing countries. Church members gave $1,000, $50,000, even $400,000. The grand total, $1.2 million. Investigators say Millender, his wife Brenda, and their friend Greta Wells used that money for things like risky trade deals and this lavish home.
I mean, it didn't really come as a shock. It was more so a sigh of relief.
We spoke by phone to Eric Brown, who grew up in the church. He says there have been rumors about misconduct for years, and his family was among those who invested in the Millender's so-called business.
And I asked him, like, hey, that's a nice car. Yeah, it's $100,000. You know, you save up your money and, you know, God's going to bless you, blah, 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 blah. Well, come to find out now it was actually part of our money.
Hey, bro. One of the biggest problems in the community, the black community that, you know, many people are aware of, they never really talk about it, is how the church as a whole, they are confined to the four walls of the church, never to come out, never to circulate any of the resources, never to distribute their time, their talent, or their treasure to the communities. So then you have a bunch of spokesmen for the church, or some people call them preachers. You have them out here, and they're not for the people. A lot of them are not. Many are, some are, a lot of them are not. You know, it's all about them and things like that. They never reach back for the community. They never do things like have programs. Black people need programs. Just think about this. The Black Panther Party had over 65 programs, relevant programs, you know, that they did for the community. You mean to tell me that out of all these black churches in the city of Chicago, listen, we are right off Chicago Avenue. You can go from Cicero to Central, 1 mile stretch, and you could count over 30 churches, right? But you can't count one community center.
A payment on a down payment for a home, $2,000-$3,000 here, a food drive, maybe some coat drive or some toy drive for Christmas. But that's pennies. That's pennies. A lot of these pastors are making millions, driving Bentleys. Now wait a minute. If you preach against greed, what are you doing with the $100,000 car? What are you doing with Bentleys? And You're taking congregation money and donation money or wherever the hell you get it from, and you're spending on a $100,000 house. Now, in some of these neighborhoods, they don't even live in a $100,000 house, let alone drive a $100,000 car. Why not buy a $20,000 car and invest that back into the communities which you got the money from? Why don't you invest in something that's going to bring that community more money? Why don't you multiply that money that you receive? Straight up, let me tell you something. If your pastor's not putting back money into that community, stop investing in that pastor. Stop investing in that church. If you walk outside and your pastor's in a $100,000 car, stop going to that church. Straight up, that's how I look at it. I would stop going to that church. For one, you're preaching against greed and against rich men. Jesus was poor and preached that, give all your money away. Yet, your congregation is catching the bus while you drive away in a $100,000 car and live in $1 million house.
Count anything that's relevant or has an impact within this community from all those different churches. You know, it's all become a thing about people putting money in their pocket. It's become, you know, it was a time when black people used to love black people and they used things. But now it's a thing where black people have gotten accustomed to using people and loving things, you know, as a people. So we got to get out of that. We got to, you know, that whole mindset of just fucking with these churches and going in there, giving them our money and things like that. And they never give anything back. I'm not talking about those who do. I'm talking about those who don't. Those are the ones that need to be held accountable. Those are the ones that people need to stay away from and whatnot, and basically shut them down. Because listen, if you're not doing that, if you're a detriment to the community, if you're not doing anything from the community but taking, you're detrimental to the community and you must go.